We'll call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to consider for approval the minutes of the March 2nd meeting of the Murfreesboro Cable Television Commission.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Okay, I'll need to do a roll call on this since there's several people on the phone call. Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Barton?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
We've got a couple of new members for the commission, one of which is Councilman Wright, who is on the attending the meeting by Zoom, and also Dennis O'Neill is also on the commission, recently appointed. Dennis was unable to attend today. All right, number 3, presentation of awards.
Yeah, we'll get started in a few minutes. Just wanted to give you a little bit overview. So this is there's 2 awards that we're going to be presenting to staff today. This is always an exciting time when we have commission meetings where we can recognize staff. There were 2 organizations that. One was a Telly Award, and one was stands for Nato, the National Association of Telecommunication Officers and Advisors, and that's made up of government programmers all across the country. So if we could, I'm going to stand up here, and if Tommy, if you don't mind coming out here, and we'll do a presentation. All right, we'll start right here with the first one. The Telly Award, this was the 41st Annual National Telly Award competition, and it premieres award honoring for video and television across all screens. This year it recognized the City of Murfreesboro's phone distraction video in partnership with the Police Department and the county's Traffic Safety Task Force, and this award is presented to Michael Nevels. All right, the Nato Awards, this was their 35th annual Government Programming Awards national competition, and this year the city received 19 awards from this organization. We received 2 awards for excellence, and those both go to Michael Nevels for his production of a library promotional video and for a promotional video of the City of Murfreesboro. Okay, there were also 10 awards that were given for distinction, and those awards, there were 2 for the phone distraction video again, for innovative use of video, and for a public service announcement. That award goes to Michael Nevels, along with another award for a bus safety public service announcement. Okay, the next award of distinction goes to Larry Flowers and Michael Nevels for a public safety program that they do called Behind the Badge, and this was a specific edition that they did for a traffic safety news story.
Larry, who's call? There you go.
All right, the next award of distinction goes for the coverage of public meetings that the entire department does, and this one was specifically with the city council meeting, so this one is kind of a catch-all from everybody in the department that works on coverage of meetings for the city, so. Another award of distinction goes to John Pageant for a training video he did for employee termination. The next award of distinction goes to Steve Burris and Michael Lynn White for a program they produce each month called In the City, which is a news magazine type of format program. All right, the next award of distinction goes to Steve Burris for a video he did for the Miracle League opening day for 2019. The next award of distinction goes to Michael Lynn White for a story she did with the Center of the Arts on a program that they did, a performance they did called The Wiz. All right, and the last award of distinction goes to Mike Browning and myself for a use of social media, which includes YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for the city.
Will everybody in the room recognize these folks for quite a accomplishment?
There's actually 7 more awards. We haven't gotten the certificates for those yet, but I'd like to recognize some other folks that are here also. And these were called Awards of Honor. We should get the handouts for those later on. First, I'd like to recognize John Pageant and Nancy Phillips, who work on this program. It's a children's program called Adventures in Murfreesboro. So if they wanted to. There were also 2 more awards of honor. Those were some instructional videos that John Paget did. One was Click Smart, and the other one was Michael Neville's emergency action plan for the city. The next one was Michael Neville's production of the Linebaugh Library video that he did.
Close your imaginary.
The next one was for Michael Lynn White, Steve Burris, and Larry Flowers on a video that they did with the Murfreesboro Electric Department and Murfreesboro, Tennessee Medical Corporation. It was a video they did about the merger. It was called Better Together. Steve and Michael Lynn, if y'all want to stay up there, there's also another award that they got together for a video they did on a video tour of the new Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department, Station 4. All right, and the very last one, the last award of excellence goes to Steve Burris for his use of video in a social media application. It was a video he did for getting involved with the Miracle Fields League.
If I could make a comment while you're making your way back up here. As a former principal and teacher with the city school system, I just want to say that I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Paget, Mr. Burris, and Ms. Phillips, and when talking to people from other counties in Tennessee, nobody has the TV coverage that we do. So I just want to pass that along because that's really important for getting parents more involved and interested in the schools.
All right, next item on the agenda, pursuant to Order 98-03, conduct a public hearing to evaluate MTSU's use of both educational channels as they relate to the public good, signal quality, and the other relevant factors. Notice of the public hearing was published in the September 22, 2020 issue of the local newspaper. So, as we mentioned, we'll call Channel 10 up. Step right there to the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Gordon, Associate Professor at MTSU Department of Media Arts and the Faculty Advisor for MT10, and Ryan Tyler, who is the Student General Manager of the student-run television station. And we'll be here to talk to you about what the station has done, what we're planning to do, and changes we're beginning to institute. Ryan, you want to start?
Yeah, first off, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to be here today to talk about our channel, as well as thank you for, in the past, allowing us to air our programming on this channel. Being out into the field, the production field that I want to be in, I've had the ability to talk to a lot of alumni who have been through this program, and they speak very highly of it, and I do as well. And so just allowing us as alumni and students to have a connection through this MT10 channel is something that I take very highly, and I thank you for that. At first, I'd just like to go down the report about starting in fall 2019 of what we have done since our last meeting and through current. So in the fall 2019, we had a very small portion of programming, and starting off with our newscast throughout the week, Monday and Thursday nights, every week, and airing again at 9:30. So that is 2 hours of programming that we have had in the fall 2019 semester, as well as 3 other shows, one being which came from Channel 9, being Out of the Blue, as well as The Rise and MT at Night, which is 2 other shows that would air throughout the week during fall 2019. So in total in fall 2019, we had about 3 to 4 hours of original programming per week during the fall 2019 semester. Going into spring 2020 semester, unfortunately, this semester was cut short from the university due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but we were able to get a good portion of programming before that happened, and I'll start talking about that. In the newscast, same deal as before in fall 2019, 2 newscasts per week that were live on our channel, and aired again that night, as well as any additions of Out of the Blue, again, that Channel 9 was able to provide. We programmed that as well. And I'd like to talk about this. So starting in spring 2020, when we were aware that the university was moving towards online, we made an initiative to make our channel available to produce programming when we are not on campus. So starting around that spring 2020 semester and continuing through now, we are working on being able to produce content when we are not on campus. As many of you know, obviously not during the summer and breaks, we are not on campus, and so a majority of our staff is not there as well. So we are making an initiative to be able to produce content, do any sort of shows and newscasts while we are not on campus, and that will significantly increase our amount of programming that we have on our channel when we are not there and just not through the fall and spring semesters on campus. And going into summer 2020, obviously that time period we were not on campus and we did not have these protocols in place to be able to do remote programming. So there was not much original programming happening during there, and hopefully once we get this ability to program remotely in place, that will significantly increase the amount of programming that we have during those off periods. Going into fall 2020 this semester, it is already one of our top produced original programming since I have been general manager, which I'm very happy to announce that. Just looking over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shows that we have already started and been airing on the channel, which I'm very happy about. Same with our newscast and The Rise, which is a talk show, The Wave, which is a music show that we are airing, and The Turn, which is a SNL kind of improv show, and a game show, and one that's not on here, a game show that I am producing in a class that is also airing on there. So already around 6 to 7 hours of original programming per week that will happen during this semester, which I'm very happy to be able to up that amount of original programming hours. Also, one of our biggest nights of original programming this semester will be November 3rd, the night of the election. And we plan on doing a live election coverage on our channel throughout the night. And I feel like that is one that involves a lot of students and a lot of production, and will be one of our biggest events to bring everyone together and do it safely during COVID protocols. So that will be one of our biggest nights to look forward to as far as original programming, as well as continue with the Murfreesboro Christmas Parade that we've done for the past year or so, and air that on our channel live when it happens, during that parade. That is all of the programming that happened since the last meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions about those if you have any.
Anyone got any questions?
You guys have done a wonderful job in terms of the diversity of programming that you've brought to the station. As somebody who's new to Murfreesboro and new to this commission, really appreciate what you're doing for the community. I did have one quick question for you, which is on the content that is not produced by MTSU, what's the primary criteria by which you use to make sure that there's an appropriate breadth of content and an appropriate breadth of views offered for something like, let's say, African American History Month or National Women's Month?
So content that's not produced by MTSU, do you have any specific examples from that, or are you just asking in general?
I was just asking as a general matter.
So right now, nothing that airs on our channel is specifically not MTSU produced, outside of Channel 9 bringing in some of their content and airing it when we don't have any original programming scheduled. So as of this moment, there has not been any specific standards because we have not had anything specific. It's something to absolutely look into and have a set standard for when that programming is allowed on the channel.
Do you have bulletin boards, I guess, that run when your programming isn't running, or do you have video programming running?
So, yes, during when we haven't produced any new content, we air old content that has been produced in past semesters that we have done stuff. So, as of now, there is programming on air 24/7, and obviously that is not new content that we have produced, it's just past content. But as we produce content throughout the semester, that gets updated and pushed down to where we are phasing out older content that we have produced, and it becomes newer content as it happens. As well as my faculty advisor will talk about the restructure that we're looking into. But any other questions? Well, I thank you for allowing me to be here. Again, like I said, it means a lot to the students that get to help produce content for this program because, like I said, getting to know alumni who have also done it, it really allows us to have a connection that we can have great memories for. So thank you.
Again, I'm Bob Gordon, Associate Professor at MTSU, and I teach all the multi-camera classes there. In addition to all of the productions that the students with MT10 are doing, they're also airing a lot of productions that my classes are doing, and at last count, that's about 38 programs between now and Thanksgiving, which is kind of amazing as we're getting in the middle of it. It includes 2 different game show series, a talk show series, a live concert. We've just already done a 4-night live telecast of Romeo and Juliet that the theater department have done. We're doing another play in 2 weeks, then we're doing a musical, then we're doing 4 contemporary dances, all of which will be on MT10. To follow up on your question, the station doesn't do any programming that the students don't produce, but I have been investigating through the Broadcast Education Association what kind of programming that other college stations in the country do so that we can trade programs back and forth. It's kind of hard for students that are doing this as essentially an extracurricular club to produce 24 hours of material. I mean, even a commercial station would have a hard time doing that. So we're trying to have more material than we can make ourselves. We also do basketball, football, volleyball, and soccer for ESPN at the same time, and I'm in conversations with Conference USA and ESPN as to how we can replay those games on MT10 after their initial run is completed. So it's going to be busy, and the challenge as the faculty advisor is every time the students kind of learn what to do, they graduate, and then you start all over again. So every semester you've got, this constant changeover, and we've been fortunate to attract students that are really committed to this as a career path. Ryan mentioned that we were in the process of changing the structure of the station, which was included in your material, that up to this point for decades, this was an entity which really was part of the MTSU Organization and Service Department. It's essentially, though it sounds kind of a pejorative, it's TV club. It's an organization like the chess club or lacrosse club or 300 other clubs that the university has, though it's different in that we are representing the university and the city, broadcasting programming to the county, so it can't really be this club in all as it would be if it was some other kind of club. Me as an advisor, my role is to advise. It's not to mandate any particular change, though I can strongly advise them not to do certain things, but because it is a club, they can choose not to follow that advice. We felt it would be better if we changed things here where within media arts, we have 5 different areas of programs and concentrations: filmmaking, live production, animation, interactive media management. And we're changing our curriculum where the seniors have a senior project that they work on all their senior year as a capstone project. That's easy enough to do for photography and animation and filmmaking, but we have a concentration that's media management, which is run by Roger Heinrich, which was on the commission for many years, and Tom Neff, who was the founder and president of the documentary channel for many years, and he's an Academy Award nominee for documentaries. And that program is to teach students how to manage various media entities: television stations, radio stations, production companies, web series, etc., web outlets. Unfortunately, there's not really a capstone project for them because they're not making things, they're managing things. So our plan is to make the management of the station be a capstone project for the media management concentration under the guidance of Tom and Roger as faculty members. And the students involved would be graded for their roles as general manager, program manager, production manager, promotion manager, etc. And then change the student organization formally or currently MT10 into a video production entity. They make shows, and they can make shows for MT10, they can make shows that Channel 9 might choose to air, they might make shows for Facebook or any number of places. So the day-to-day management would be have much more supervision by faculty, and the creative aspects of students being able to make shows, they would still have a lot of their independence. That organization would still be funded by student activity fees. And it seems like it would address 2 things. It would allow students to still have a creative outlet as they've had for decades, but it would also allow the university, the college, and the department to have more oversight over the channel that you allow us to program material for. So we're in the process of making that change internally, and it would be effective the fall of 2021. So, and if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them for you.
I'll say I'm pretty excited about what Mr. Gordon and I had a conversation, so did Mr. Whitaker and I, about the directions the channels are going, some of the restructuring going, and I think they're really headed in the right direction. It's really going to be even more of an asset now than it has been in the past, just with these changes they're making and the rebranding, and not only for the community and for MTSU, but for being on the system on Comcast. So I appreciate all your efforts and what you all are doing and thinking through this.
Well, this has been a great opportunity for students for so many years to be able to have an outlet for their work. And I think that in combination with what Media Arts Productions does for allowing them to do programs for ESPN, the students are really busy. Students like Ryan, he's one of the handful that does everything all the time. So we have to give him, resuscitation here and there. So it's a good opportunity for them. A lot of our students end up being employed before they graduate, which is what we're here for as educators. I find that my end product is employable graduates, and this opportunity to do programming for you really helps that goal, and I appreciate it, and thank you all.
Jason, got anything? Nope. You good? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Very impressive. Channel 9?
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Ty Whitaker, and I am privileged to serve as the senior manager for Channel 9, the Education Resource Channel, now proudly rebranded as True Blue TV, the Education Resource Channel of Middle Tennessee State University. And let me introduce my new director, Mr. David Foster. Mr. Foster is the director of advertising advertising at MTSU, and marketing at MTSU. To my fellow sister stations, to our friends and viewers and the public, to K-12 teachers and students, my colleagues, thank you for this chance. The commission, thank you for this chance for me to tell you about some of the things I'm excited about that we accomplished in 2019 and into the future. First, I'd like to do something that I didn't do very well the last time we met, and that was to thank my sister stations for the sharing of their programming with Channel 9. And Mr. Burris behind us helped me, Lee Harris helped me. He was able to give us the candidate forums for the last election. We were able to air those, and that was really nice because my previous director, Dr. Laura Clark, was one of the moderators on that. Mike Browning and Mr. Neville and Michael Neville, I'm always grateful to have their award-winning, Telly Award-winning show, The House Still Standing. Mr. Neville and Mr. Bozeman have been very kind in sharing with me your storyteller shows with Representative Hood, especially the ones that have a direct connection to MTSU. And one of them was with our past president, Dr. Sam Ingram. And that was a very special thing that we were able to do that. We also had, Mr. Bowman was also kind enough to share the mayor's briefings, where he was talking with our Associate Vice Provost Winston Windrow on racial issues, and that was a really wonderful asset to have too. And that kind of naturally rolls us into 2020, even though I know we were talking about 2019 that the station covered. But with the advent of the COVID, it's very nice that we could share resources on COVID programming. And Mr. Bozeman was very kind in making sure that we knew about, that both of our stations, I think, knew about COVID programming that had been produced at City TV, Channel 3, so we could share bits and pieces of that too and get it out to the public. And that was a very nice complement to the programming that we were doing on COVID-19. Our Vice President of Marketing and Communications, Mr. Andrew Ottman, was doing a COVID show, a daily COVID show, and then we were also able to do a daily COVID show, short one, international issues in COVID, that we air at 11 o'clock and at 5 o'clock during the weekdays. So even though, we have 4 different stations and we have different audiences and different goals and everything, the fact that we can work together has been really wonderful. We've also had great help from Channel 10 and from Professor Gordon's classes on producing some of these programs that we couldn't have produced ourselves. For instance, he was mentioning the Romeo and Juliet show. We were able to carry that live on Channel 9 also, and it was a wonderful production. And that was just something that made everything look great and really publicized Middle Tennessee and the great things that we can do here that the rest of the world may not know about. We have a great partner in the mayor of Smyrna, Miss Reed, who is an alumni of MTSU, as well as Tressa Bush, who's another MTSU alumni who is the manager of Wilson County cable television channel, and they show a lot of our programs, and so we're really happy that they've been showing programs that have been produced by True Blue TV, the Education Resource Channel. So now, speak about my favorite subject, True Blue TV, MTSU. I'm just going to go through some of the highlights of what we were able to do in 2019. I was very happy we were to bring the Albert Gore Senior Voting Rights, Civil Rights, and Public Policy panel presentation to the community, to MTSU and the community. I was very happy to share Dr. Temple Grandin's presentation at MTSU with the cable community, our viewership. I was very proud to include include a panel for Women's History Month from the American Democracy Project on women's suffrage, and I'll say a little bit more about that later. And we produced a wonderful, that's airing this year, a wonderful hour-long documentary on suffrage in Tennessee and Tennessee's role in the suffrage movement and its ratification of the 19th Amendment. So very proud to have that. And I'm just going to go real quickly over the criteria and the questions that were asked by the council. I'm sorry, by the commission. The public good, the channel will serve the citizens of Murfreesboro and the university community with educational, informational, and entertainment programming. True Blue TV continues to serve the citizens of Murfreesboro and the university community in 2019 by producing unique education, informational, and entertainment programming that enhances K-12 education, teacher professional development, informs the MTSU University community, and offers lifelong learning for the communities of Middle Tennessee. We produce high-quality programs of educational merit. We record outstanding academic achievements that enhance the university's mission to educate a diverse student body. And by meeting these goals, True Blue TV continues to increase the programming choices available to Rutherford County cable subscribers. The programs include topics of interest to certain groups, but also to the general public, including programs of broad appeal like music concerts, Middle Tennessee history, Tennessee outdoors and wildlife, and informational programs about national and world events. True Blue TV also seeks to serve the public good by instituting closed captioning on the station programming to increase accessibility, and has exceeded our target of 50% closed captioning programming for 2019 by having 60% of our programs airing being closed captioned. And a push, if you all have heard me before, the push for me is really into as much accessibility as we can accomplish, and we're starting to research audio description also. And so that's one of my bugaboos. Signal quality. We continue to serve Murfreesboro and Rutherford County communities in addition to Cannon, DeKalb County, parts of Rutherford, Wilson, Smith, and White counties through our partnership with DTC Television. A partnership with United Communications allows us to offer programming in Chapel Hill and Nolensville and other parts of that area around Tennessee. We've added AT&T UVerse to one of our outputs through a partnership between MTSU and AT&T. Maintaining and improving our signal quality is the highest priority for True Blue TV. All our equipment's been upgraded. We regularly review our equipment to make sure all current updates are being done. We installed fiber transceivers between MTSU's campus and Comcast's head end to offer the clearest, most stable program feed to Comcast and AT&T. And when Comcast is ready to give us HD channels, we're ready. We're producing an HD channel programming right now, and that's what's going out over the air except for the cable. And then I wrote down, you guys, about 4 or 5 other pages of relevant factors that I thought, let you guys know how just wonderful we are and everything, and hope you agree with me. The questions are how many hours of locally produced non-repeat educational programming of Channel 9 were provided to Murfreesboro cable subscribers during 2019. This is just 2019. I stopped at Christmas of 2019. The True Blue TV Education Resource Channel produced and broadcast 165 television episodes totaling 169.2 hours. These were, as I've said, I listed all these people all these organizations that we did it with, that we partnered with in the materials. But I'll just give you a couple ideas on, I've already mentioned Dr. Temple Grandin helping different kind of minds to think. Suffragists and Citizenship with columnist Margaret Wrinkle, Dr. Marjorie Sprill, and Representative London Lamar, who's the youngest representative in Tennessee. That was for our Constitution Day expert panel by the American Democracy Project at MTSU. Live broadcasts of the Board of Trustees meetings at MTSU to make them available to the public for transparency. MTSU concerts, including MTSU's Wind Ensemble, the Symphony Band, the Chinese Center for Music and Culture, Women's Chorale, and other concerts such as an hour of conjunto music with Felipe Perez in our new facility. War and Its Cost with Pulitzer Prize winning journalist C.J. Shivers, who's a senior writer at the New York Times, and that was for the MTSU Siegenthaler Chair of Excellence in First Amendment Studies. And then we do our MTSU Out of the Blue that was mentioned, that is our magazine program, our monthly magazine program for MTSU in Middle Tennessee. And I've got some cool news to tell about that. Programs we produced in 2019 that are for 2020 and the future. American Sign Language instruction for the Center for Accelerated Language Acquisition, CALA, and we're adding that to our French, Spanish, Chinese, and Tamil languages. And we hope the new True Blue TV website will be able to carry those so people, if they miss them on the air, they'll be able to do a video on demand. So that's one of the things we're working on. The first Friday Star Party lectures were one of my big deals because I'm an astronomy buff. And that started with the 2017, our big production with Mr. Gordon, with Professor Gordon and his group of the eclipse, the Tennessee eclipse. And we just kept going with the Star Parties. And they're wonderful. They're just a lecture about anything in astronomy that happens the first Friday of every month. And we turn it into a TV show and broadcast it on the station. The Wall, a Pulitzer Prize winning production by journalists Laura Gomez, Annette Mead, and Michael Thorson for this, again, for the Siegenthaler Pulitzer Prize winning lecture series by the Siegenthaler Chair of Excellence in First Amendment Studies. We distribute Out of the Blue to News Channel 5 in Nashville and our broadcast partners, DTC, Chapel Hill, United Communications, and others. And we also share programs with a group called PEG Media, which is a clearinghouse for community channel programming and PEG channels to share programming. And this is one of the things that I'm really pumped about because this is something that's getting MTSU, getting Middle Tennessee and Murfreesboro out there. We shared over 70 channels live with the eclipse many years ago, but every year we're sharing the Great Tennessee Eclipse. We're sharing MT Conversations that I produce, the Iron Furnace Trail, the greatest songs you may never have heard, with Soup Granda from oh gosh, I've lost the band. I've lost my childhood. I forgot the band. But anyway, to date, we have shared 469 downloads of MT Out of the Blue to 42 stations in 17 states. And our other 50 programs that we roughly have up there, we've shared 3,084 times by 277 stations in 42 states. Why I can't get those other 8 states, I'm not sure. 7 states, I'm not sure. I'm working on it. I got one. I got Mississippi. Another exchange that we have is with Connect Telview, and that's another group of stations roughly up in the Northeast, around Washington and New Jersey. We share the Portraits, the first Black American Divas, the Song Opera, which is our Telly Award winning production for the True Blue TV, Teachers Talk, which I produce, and the Great Tennessee Eclipse. And we've shared the programs through that outlet 108 times to 50 community stations, PEG stations, across 17 states, including Mississippi. When locally produced educational programming isn't being cablecast, what are some of the other types of programming sources available to Murfreesboro cable subscribers on Channel 9. And this will go more to your question, sir, we supplement our programming with 213 programs that are commercially produced educational titles totaling 131 hours. And we go and we get a broadcast license for these every year. These are programs of educational merit. Although with True Blue TV we're going to expand our educational outreach, they were a lot of K-12 classroom and professional development. That's one of our focuses. And even though we are taking True Blue TV and making it not just a college education, but the whole university, we still have a close relationship and partnership with the Center for Educational Media, producing K-12 professional development for teachers across Tennessee. In fact, we were very happy to live broadcast the first ELL collaborative, MTSU ELL Teachers Collaborative workshops for them live on the station. And then when COVID hit, we were able to do their virtual telecast live on the station of their ELL summer academies. This was the first time it had ever been done virtually in Zoom, but we were still able to turn that around and
back at it. How you
broadcast it over Channel 9 at the same time.
Good deal.
And then I went through with all the people that we do partner with. I gave you guys about, 5 pages of that. What new, if any, non-locally produced programs are being planned during 2020? Well, there's a ton.
Yeah.
We continue to work with all of our licensees, all of our vendors, for instance, Green Planet Films, Bullfrog Films, and others. How many months out of the year is Channel 9 programming locally produced educational content? 12 months a year. We're open for business 24/7, 365. We're not off during the summer. And all of our programming is going out, and we program it into the schedule all year long. So what new locally produced programs are coming up for 2020? We were working with the MTSU Center for the Study and Treatment of Dyslexia to broadcast their yearly Fox Reading Conference. We're producing recorded and live professional development for the ELL Teachers Collaborative, as I was mentioning, and now the MTSU Counselor Collaborative. We're going to start doing that. We're partnering with MTSU's Free Speech Center with Ken Paulson to film interviews with individuals on the front lines of First Amendment advocacy in the U.S., as well as some of their promotional materials. We're partnering with the MTSU Alumni Association to produce an ongoing series targeting alumni on relative life coaching issues and matters such as retirement, successful job hunting, and team building. And I have formed a partnership with the MTSU alumni so that I'll be able to air those programs after they've been sent to the alumni. I'll be able to air them for the general public, because I just pointed out that this is material that everybody in our community should know. So that's just a little bit of what I wanted to point out and share with you guys. From the last question was from a technical standpoint, how do you maintain the station from going off the air? And as I said, the station is monitored. We were monitored by like eight offices with people in with monitors in their office, but now that we're part of the administration also, and not just the College of Ed, we have a ton of people, including a couple of vice presidents, monitoring our cable channel in the administration building. Our fiber optic sent to Comcast is monitored every day, a couple of times a day. If there's any problem, it's reported to me, the senior manager, and I get with the engineering team for the Center for Educational Media, and we trace down the problem and work with Comcast. But luckily, we haven't had really any problems with our Comcast signal. And if at night, I monitor the station, and I monitor the Roku and the Apple TV and the Amazon also, and I can remote desktop in if there's a problem. I can go in But we also have battery backup in the station. We have a emergency generator at the building that where we're housed, and then we also have a service called Total Info that broadcasts headlines and informational slides. So if we do have a program that just doesn't want to play for some reason, then that comes up. So people shouldn't be confronted with a black screen. Very, very, very rarely. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I wanted to let Mr. Foster tell you about the future of True Blue TV. But if anybody has any questions about the past, I'm ready to answer.
You ready? Everybody
Very
good?
thorough.
Actually, I'm curious, how have you seen, or how are you anticipating the impact of COVID in terms of thinking about what programming you want to show going forward from a public good perspective?
It's my understanding, or at least it's my belief, that one of the impetus for taking True Blue TV and taking it out of just the College of Education, making it a university resource, was to share more resources during COVID. But it was also because we can't have all these students, thousands of students, having our events. And so True Blue TV was a way that we could broadcast the commencement, we could broadcast the convocation, we could broadcast the military stole ceremony, we could broadcast the pinning ceremonies, and we could do it in a way that we could do it through a combination of Zoom and live stream and Facebook and stuff where the students and the young people could still participate, but we could do it over a television and a social media platform. And so I have done more live broadcasting since the summer than we've ever done. Most of our programs are taped and replayed later, but we've done a bunch of live programs, and we even did the homecoming parade last weekend. So I got to see Romeo and Juliet at night. I got to do the homecoming parade during the day. It was fun for having to do homecoming in such a different way. And so I felt like we were trying to help everybody have as normal a time and have a good time despite COVID. And so I felt good about it. That was, anything else? All right, well, I'm going to let David speak now. Sorry, guys.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We're really excited, honestly, about the opportunities with True Blue Television. One of the advantages of taking it, as he mentioned, purely out of the college education and giving it to us, because we're university-wide, is that it gives us more opportunity to share resources, to be less siloed. Because it's real easy at a university to look around and you have all these great little silos with wonderful information, but only they know about it. And so this gives us an opportunity to take this message, go out to all these different departments, pull everything together, and begin to repackage this to give us more original, innovative content that's happening out there. Now, Ty's done a great job over the last several years running this, and basically, I always kid him about through no fault of his own, he's been kind of hamstrung because he didn't have necessarily the resources backing him up, because they're kind of running things on a shoestring in that regard. But now with transfer over into marketing communications, we're going to rectify that. We're adding some additional capital, we're adding some personnel assets to it. We're willing to bring in freelancers and videographers and things like this that he hasn't been able to do that in the past. So, as hard as he's been working, we just want to make it easier and better for everything he's been doing, because he's been doing great. Now, we want to stay true to the mission of the station, but we believe we can do that better, honestly, with more creative, original, and engaging content that's out there, because it's real easy sometimes to go out and buy something, okay, and it gives you a little airtime filled, which is great, but we're looking at the bigger picture, I believe, on this, because I'm a firm believer that for many years MTSU has been one of Rutherford County's best kept secrets. And I say that because most people in this area don't have a clue as far as all the resources that are available there. They know something that they have heard, but they haven't had access to everything else. And so what we're going to try to do is make sure that we can bring the resources of the university off campus, show people, for schools and for businesses and for the citizens of the area, because we bring in world-class speakers. We have all these great seminars out there, and many times the public finds out about it the week after. And so we want to make it available here where we can broadcast it live, make it easy for everybody to get to, repackage it so that it can be shown at later dates. And with one of the things Ty mentioned earlier, we're in the process, we want to build the cable channel out, but also build fundamentally what we'll just call it a YouTube channel right now, but an on-demand channel for all those services and all those shows and things that we have licensed for. Okay, now some we can't, of course, so y'all are familiar with the different licensing issues, but particularly our original content, all that stuff can be available where people can get to it when they need to, and that's the way the world's moving with a lot of this stuff. So we want to be there for them for that. Of course, COVID's been an interesting phenomena for us, and trying to be compliant with everything. And while we have focused quite a bit on that, there's more to the world than COVID, and we don't want to get too distracted by that. We want to keep it going. Now, the next few years, we're wanting to build this on-demand web-enabled channel. I say a few years because it's not going to take that long, but honestly, I'd love to have most of what I'm going to talk about done by the end of the year. All depends on the other problems that we run into at the university, of course. But our goal is to put every program that we have proper licensing on out there and make it available to everybody. Because, if you're interested in taking Spanish, well, you kind of need to take that in a certain order. And it's difficult if you're dependent upon what time it happens to show up on a cable channel. So there's some programs that are more fit for an on-demand situation. As he mentioned, we've already increased dramatically the number of live programs that we've done over the last 60 to 90 days. I got tickled. Andrew Ottman is my boss. Okay, he's the VP of Communications. And, Andrew loves live, loves everything live. And I'm over there going, wait a minute, we don't need everything live. So we have a really good dynamic in there about looking at the things that, and he's going to push us on the live side. And because of my background and being the director of marketing, I'm real concerned about making MTSU look the best we can possibly look. I want to make sure that everything we put out is really high quality, that it comes across very, very well. And being a little bit of the control freak, that's why I love pre-produced things, because we can pre-produce that and make it exactly what we want it to be, and don't have to worry about the issues that come up with live television. But we're going to be doing both. Okay, it just depends on the situation. And one of the things I'm excited about here is we've already started with the idea of building a whole series of 30 and 60 and 90-minute documentaries, because there's so much content out there. And we've got this world-class film and video program, so we're going to use that to do this as well. And but my own team, which is pretty large there, we're going to be pulling that together. So we've initiated several of these projects together, already. And the first one, I'm really excited about this because it's a program featuring the farm-to-table process about our world-famous chocolate milk. Now, if you haven't had it, we brought you some, so thought you might enjoy that. But we're excited about that because it gives us a chance to, people don't realize all the things that can be done right here locally, and all this is produced within a couple of miles of the university. The dairy is out there, we've got 500 acres, we've got cows on it, and you get a chance to show kids that chocolate milk doesn't just come from brown cows. That's kind of exciting for a lot of them, but I think they're going to enjoy this piece, and that should be ready here in the next few weeks. Our concrete industry program. Are y'all familiar with the fact that NASCAR is coming to Nashville? Next August, we're going to have a NASCAR Grand Prix, the Nashville Grand Prix. Well, they've contracted with our concrete industry program to build the 2,200 barriers that have to be built inside the streets of Nashville. And they've also told us that they really like that they want to use us for all the races. It's a pretty big deal. Okay, so what we're going to be doing between now and August, we're going to be doing a documentary that shows here's how the science is done on it. Here's how the pieces are done. Here's all the background. Heather Brown, who's the director of that program, has agreed to work with us on this. I'm really excited about it because it's going to actually show how the universities contribute to real world situations that people enjoy. And we'll end it at the Grand Prix, which will be a lot of fun. My wife is particularly excited about that. And as you know, we're also the home of the Albert Gore Research Center. Okay, and a lot of people don't really realize what that is, but fundamentally it's our Smithsonian. Okay, it's where all the records are kept for other things about MTSU, about Middle Tennessee. You know, it functions as an institution dedicated to the study of modern American politics, education, Southern U.S. history, and an emphasis on the participation of people and organizations from Middle Tennessee in that. Well, I mean, they host thousands of films, they've got documents, they've got photographs, they have videos, they have all this stuff that's available there. And so we're going to be working with them to find the really fun ones to start with, and that we can pull together, produce this stuff. And so we've got, it's kind of like a gold, we always talk about a bird nest on the ground. That's what this one is. There's so much material there that we could spend years and never leave that point. But so I want people to kind of think about that as our version of the History Channel, but just for our local situations. They mentioned Romeo and Juliet. If you didn't see that, it's a wonderful show. And the advantage to this is we have this team of really sharp, creative minds working on more concepts. So we're going to obviously produce more concepts than we can actually produce in real life. This is nature of the beast. But, and so when we know that this won't happen overnight, it's going to take some time. However, if any of you have ever had the pleasure of working with Andrew, you know, our division is kind of reputed to move at warp speed. It's been almost a joke around the university, especially when you compare how fast we produce things compared to normal university speeds. Okay, so we don't slow down. So our plan is to make a lot of these wonderful changes in this first year and then use that as a foundation to build on for the rest of the things that are coming down the pike. And so we really look forward to working with you, and as we work to develop more educational opportunities for the citizens of this area. Okay. So, you know, I just appreciate the opportunity. I'll be glad to answer any questions. If it's much in the past, it's going to be that guy.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So we need to go ahead and adopt a motion.
Yes.
Send it on.
Right.
Okay. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any additional discussion? I'd like to say one thing, just personally. For the number of years that I've been on this commission and watched Channel 9 or 10, I noticed that this is the 22nd year, excuse me, of our partnership, and how it has grown from getting feeds from, you know, other area TV, where now we're providing it, and that's a wonderful thing. I think y'all, each year that I've been part of the commission and had an opportunity to listen to presentations, I always think to myself, how in the world can you top this? Well, you have. Each year you continue to set the bar a little bit higher, and I appreciate that, because not only is it a resource for the university, but obviously for not just Rutherford County, but even a larger footprint. So thank you very much for what you're doing, and certainly glad to have partnership with you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, and we'll call the roll.
All right. Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Barton?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Continue on to item number 5. Consider continuing to grant a license to MTSU to utilize a second local educational access channel.
Actually, I think that's what you all
That's what we just voted on, so just the two items were there together. Didn't want to overlook anything that might need to be discussed. Then item number 6, staff reports and other business.
We've got a few things. I've copied you on the cable complaints we received from Comcast since the last meeting. We received 5 of those. Those have been addressed by Comcast. I've included in your packet the October City TV program guide. Just a few highlights coming up this fall. We generally work with MTSU and also televise the Christmas parade. Hopefully we'll be able to do that again this year. We also televise the Christmas tree lighting that they have on the square. This year they're going to be moving it virtually, so we're working with them on pre-producing some programming to have it televised kind of virtually, and then I believe we'll be there at the lighting of that to be able to show it live that way instead of having crowds there. So there's several different things that we're working on through COVID that we used to do that we're kind of doing differently now. Also, there's been some city structural changes since we last met. You all may recall we were under, there were several divisions that were created out of the city that departments went under. We used to be under the Internal Services Division, and we have since moved under the Community Services Division, which includes Parks and Recreations, the golf course, and Strategic Partners. And Ms. Angela Jackson, who's here today, she's the Executive Director that's over that division. I think she went around and met most of you all at the very beginning of the meeting, so we're excited about being under this new division and working with Ms. Jackson. And that is all that I have today.
All right, any other business needs to come to this commission? No? Then this meeting is adjourned. Everybody have a great Monday.
Thank you.